Russia hurled its military might against Ukrainian cities and towns and poured more troops into the war, seeking to slice the country in two in a potentially pivotal battle for control of the eastern industrial heartland of coal mines and factories. The fighting on Tuesday unfolded along a boomerang-shaped front hundreds of miles long in what is known as the Donbass. If successful, it would give President Vladimir Putin a victory following the failed attempt by Moscow's forces to storm the capital, Kyiv, and heavier than expected casualties in Mariupol, the now devastated port city in the Donbass. Ukrainian troops said the Russian military dropped heavy bombs to flatten what was left of a sprawling steel plant and hit a hospital where hundreds were staying. The eastern cities of Kharkiv and Kramatorsk came under deadly attack. Russia also said it struck areas around Zaporizhia and Dnipro west of the Donbass with missiles. Russian Defense Ministry spokesman Maj. General Igor Konashenkov said Moscow's forces bombarded numerous Ukrainian military sites, including troop concentrations and missile warhead storage depots, in or near several cities or villages. Those claims could not be independently verified. Both sides have described the assault that began Monday as a new phase of the war. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said the Russian military was throwing everything it has into the battle, with most of its combat-ready forces now concentrated in Ukraine and just across the border in Russia. They have driven almost everyone and everything that is capable of fighting us against Ukraine, he said in his nightly video address to the nation. Despite claims that they are hitting only military sites, the Russians continue to target residential areas and kill civilians. He said, "The Russian army in this war is writing itself into world history forever as the most barbaric and inhuman army in the world," Zelensky said. Weeks ago, after the abortive Russian push to take Kyiv, the Kremlin declared that its main goal was the capture of the mostly Russian-speaking Donbass, where Moscow-backed separatists have been fighting Ukrainian forces for 8 years. A Russian victory in the Donbass would deprive Ukraine of the industrial assets concentrated there, including mines, metals plants and heavy equipment factories. A senior U.S. defense official, speaking on condition of anonymity to discuss the Pentagon's assessments of the war, said the Russians had added 2 more combat units, known as battalion tactical groups, in Ukraine over the preceding 24 hours. That brought the total number of units in the country to 78. All of them in the south and the east, up from 65 last week, the official said. That would translate to 55,000 to 62,000 troops. Based on what the Pentagon said at the start of the war was the typical unit strength of 700 to 800 soldiers. But accurately determining Russia's fighting capacity at this stage is difficult. A European official, likewise speaking on condition of anonymity to discuss military assessments, said Russia also has 10,000 to 20,000 foreign fighters in the Donbass. They are a mix of mercenaries from Russia's private Wagner group and Russian proxy fighters from Syria and Libya, according to the official. While Ukraine portrayed the attacks on Monday as the start of the long-feared offensive in the east, some observers noted that an escalation has been underway there for some time and questioned whether this was truly the start of a new offensive. The U.S. official said the offensive in the Donbass has begun in a limited way, mainly in an area southwest of the city of Donetsk and south of Izium. Justin Crump, a former British tank commander now with the strategic advisory company Sibylline, said the Ukrainian comments could, in part, be an attempt to persuade allies to send more weapons. What they're trying to do by positioning this, I think, is focus people's minds and effort by saying, "Look, the conflict has begun in the Donbass," Crump said. That partly puts pressure on NATO and EU suppliers to say, "Guys, We're starting to fight now. We need this now. President Joe Biden is expected to announce a new weapons package in the coming days that will include additional artillery and ammunition. According to a U.S. official, who was not authorized to comment publicly and spoke on the condition of anonymity. Canada and the Netherlands also plan to send more heavy weapons, their prime ministers said. Associated Press journalists in Kharkiv said at least 4 people were killed and 3 wounded in a Russian attack on a residential area of the city. An explosion also rocked Kramatorsk, killing at least 1 person and wounding 3, according to AP journalists at the scene. In the southern city of Bashtanka, an unspecified number of people were wounded when Russian forces shelled the hospital, destroying the reception area and the dialysis unit. The head of the regional council, Hanna Zamazeva, said on Facebook, "Eyewitness accounts and reports from officials have given a broad picture of the extent of the Russian advance. But independent reporting in the parts of the Donbass held by Russian forces and separatists is severely limited, making it difficult to know what is happening in many places on the ground." Military experts said the Russians' goal is to encircle Ukrainian troops from the north, south and east. Key to the campaign is the capture of Mariupol, which would deprive Ukraine of a vital port and complete a land bridge between Russia and the Crimean Peninsula, seized from Ukraine in 2014. It would also free up Russian troops to move elsewhere in the Donbass. A few thousand Ukrainian troops, by the Russians' estimate, remained holed up in a sprawling Mariupol steel plant, representing what was believed to be the last major pocket of resistance in the city. Russia issued a new ultimatum to the Ukrainian defenders to surrender Wednesday after a previous ultimatum was ignored. The Russian Defense Ministry said those who surrender will be allowed to live and given medical treatment. There was no immediate response from the Ukrainian troops, but they have repeatedly vowed not to give up. The deputy commander of the Azov regiment, who was among the troops remaining in Mariupol, said the Russian military dropped heavy bombs on the steel plant and hit an improvised hospital. Serhiy Taruta, the former governor of the Donetsk region and a Mariupol native, also reported the bombing of the hospital, where he said 300 people, including wounded troops and civilians with children, were sheltered. The reports could not be independently confirmed. Zelensky said the Kremlin has not responded to a proposal to exchange Viktor Medvedchuk, the jailed leader of a pro-Russia party, for the Mariupol defenders. Associated Press journalists Mstislav Chernov and Felipe Dana in Kharkiv, Ukraine, Danica Kirka in London, and Robert Burns and Amr Madani in Washington contributed to this report, as did other AP staff members around the world. Follow the app's coverage of the war at https://apnews.com/hub/Russia-Ukraine. Thanks for listening to this important news update. Please subscribe to our channel to stay updated with the latest news.